Welcome to Hotline 21. I'm your host, Bruce Jackson, and we're here at the Gift House. And we've got a great show for you today, a super show, and we're going to have some wonderful guests. But we're going to talk about some things that have really been impacting the community and ways in which we can provide a service that can help you, the viewers, and how you can participate. And if you have any questions while you're listening to our guests, call the number at the bottom of your screen there, and we will address all your questions that you may have. I've got a wonderful guest here, Prince Asier. Pleasure to have you.
Nice to meet you, Prince Amiel.
Prince Amiel. Prince Amiel.
Good to be here with you.
Yes. Now, you working on a project that is just phenomenal. We have people marching in the streets about problems that affect the community, about people of color not having certain issues addressed. But you're working on doing things about that. And tell us what type of solutions you're going to bring to the table.
Well, first of all, the reality of what exists at this particular point in time is a political quagmire, in that the electoral process, and even the people who created the process, said that it's flawed. And so the two major parties, whether they be Republican or Democrat, we know that there's really no difference. And so the only thing that's left to people who are not necessarily revolutionary is the political process. But under that political process, you can have a political party that's different from the Republican Party or Democratic Party. And so many have chosen over the years to start their own parties, hence the Green Party, Libertarian Party, the Constitutional Party. And the interesting thing about the Constitutional Party is that they base their agenda on what the original founding fathers meant when they constructed the Constitution, which is the same thing that
Really?
Judge Rehnquist, that was his platform, because they said that they needed to stop arguing issues based upon contemporary elements. They need to go back to the original founding fathers. Having said that, my point is that there are different parties. The Green Party deals with the environment and things like that. And
Now, but you're talking about doing a party, and your party is going to be different from many of the parties that we have that's out there. The Green Party, Libertarian Party, Republican, Democrat. Yours have a different twist. And how is that twist? Tell us about that.
First of all, the party is called We Care, You Commit.
Okay, I like that.
And it's a sort of a play on words to an extent, but it leaves it open for us to be able to talk to people, because it has a little question mark there. Well, who's supposed to commit? Now, one of the things about the political process is that you see somebody that you would like to elect. They go through all of the realities of creating scenarios and situations where you learn what they want to do for you, those kind of things, whether it be in your local elections or your national elections. You have all kind of events and those types of things where the person that you're looking at is trying to prove to you that it would be in your best interest to elect them. The problem has been is that, and sort of typified like this, you spend all your money getting them into Congress, the Senate, presidency, or whatever, but you don't pay their check.
Right.
So that means that they don't really represent you, work for you once they're elected. Now, there are a lot of people who wind up complaining about the types of laws that are on the book, especially when it comes to red lights, and which is a real controversial issue now, and all kind of things that infringe upon your rights of movement and your rights and some of your freedoms. And what you don't know is once that person crosses over and he becomes a part of that process, he's beholding to the people who pay his check. So many of those laws have been bought, have been created and enforced, put in play by the very people you elected.
Right.
So, so in essence, you didn't spend all your energy and all your money to elect somebody who doesn't represent you for real. So,
right. And that's the tragedy.
that's the tragedy of the situation. So we care. You commit is again a play on words because we're saying we care that the politicians need to commit.
Absolutely.
And what do they need to commit to?
The people.
If I elected you,
the people.
oh, right. If I elected you, then you should be representing me.
Absolutely.
And so we care, you commit, is the reality of our politicians recommitting themselves to the people.
I like that.
That's the major difference. Because all the issues are the same. You know, our water is bad, roads are bad, the food is bad. You know, the whole medical scenario, the prices of medicines have gone sky high, and people can't hardly get what they need to get. And I know there are a couple of communities where people who depended on the local drugstores, many of those drugstores have left the area. And these are low-income people. They got to figure out ways to go to other drugstores in other areas to get their medicines. So I'm saying that there's a myriad of problems that exist. But if we can get the politician to work for us, those who voted them in, then we can direct them to create the laws that we want to create.
Absolutely.
To create the scenarios that we want to create.
Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Where's this thing here? We don't have our overhead. Okay. I thought we had the overhead here. Just don't have it. But if you just joining us and you wanted to contact us for the for testing, you can call the number 773-522-2420, 773-522-2420, and we will a nurse will talk to you. A nurse will talk to you for testing. But if you have a question about the party We Care You Commit, just give us a call at the number at the bottom of the screen. Now, tell me some other components about, some people have been asking about the prison, the whole prison piece. If a person's been in jail 5 years, 10 years, never had nothing and been out for almost a decade and now had no run-in with the law, what type of programs would your party offer?
Well, first of all, there needs to be an awareness program of the reality of the prison industrial complex. That, because I want to go back to when we were coming up, and we went to kindergarten. We went to kindergarten at 5 years old. And so from 5 years old to however old we are now, we have been contextualized by whatever education, whatever knowledge-based stimuli that we grew under. Well, the prison industrial complex figured out that they needed to get the child earlier. And they snuck it in on us, and we didn't really realize it because it was in the word, but we didn't pay attention to the word. And they created a platform called Head Start.
I remember that.
Now, Head Start meant exactly that. They would get a head start.
Right.
Instead of getting the child at 5 years old to get control of him, they would get him at 3 years old. Because the psychologists and sociologists says in order to create the type of program that would evolve into giving everybody political assignments that related to the development of this world, that they had to get the child at 3 years old. So now, and I'm sort of coloring this, and I need to color it so that you get the full impact of it. Many people say, they don't understand that all these black people who have these huge amounts of money, basketball players, football players, tennis players, actors, actresses. We got millionaires, we got some billionaires, we got all that. And they trying to figure out, well, how come they don't use that money to help save their people? Well, because many of them came from the Head Start program. And in the Head Start program, the psychology is it's a two-pronged situation. One, to send young black men into the prison system. The other one is those that excel, to make sure that you contextualize them to the point that they don't care about their people. They care about things, they may care about their immediate family, but they're trying to hold on to their wealth. So you don't have a group of black sports figures or black actresses and black actors who grow up with a sense of revolution, who grow up with a sense of urgency as it relates to the conditions of the people.
Right.
That's that prison industrial scenario. So this is what we're suffering from now, where our children they have been sort of put on a highway or a path to the prison scenario and the prison situation. That's why I didn't build so many of them. And I want to call it to your attention that they just came out last week and said that, last week or the week before last, and they said that they were, that the government was no longer going to use the private prison systems. Now, many people jumped up and said, yay. But what they didn't understand was that those prisons now, they're going to buy those prisons. So now
so the government is going to buy the private prisons.
Yeah, because that was the play the whole time, to get enough prisons. So they got enough prisons now where they can continue to put young men back in the prison. So now how does that relate to our party? Our party is that we have to focus on that. We go back scripturally, and I'm not talking about religiously. We go back scripturally to the fact that Pharaoh said we need to deal with the Hebrews wisely, so that they do not grow up and join our enemies. Well, that's the problem. The problem is that they have to incarcerate these children, and they have to debilitate the veterans and all of those, because all of these are the strong men. These are they say youth is for war, elders are for counsel. They said, but cutting off, and it's replete in the scriptures about cutting off the male child and allowing the female child to prosper. So in the reality of the we care, you commit, one of the major issues is we care enough about our children to understand all the things that I'm saying right now and begin to develop a political process that specifically deals with these issues, but deals with these issues having the understanding of the issue and developing the antidote.
Wow. Well, if you're listening, if you just joining in, call the number at the bottom of the screen if you got any questions. We're talking to one of the founders of the We Care, You Commit party. And here's the best time to ask your question. This is the first party ever that will be addressing issues for you. And I just want to thank you for just sharing with us that information. And part of the party, you're going to be dealing with issues about music that has impacted. Absolutely. A lot of, you hear all these horror stories about black musicians and musicians of color that just had a rough go at it with the music industry. And how would your party address that?
Now, first of all, you got to have knowledge. You have to have knowledge about these things, because music is a victim. Black music is a victim to a white supremacist structure. Now, I say all the time, we have forgotten that we still in 400 years of captivity. We forget that somehow, maybe we got a car, an apartment, and a house or whatever. Right. You know what I'm saying? But we forgot. So, but the enemy hasn't forgotten. Right. So the enemy continues his program, whether you're aware of it or not, whether you care anything about it or not. So I've always said, in the 400 years that we've been here, and especially the last 250, we ain't had nothing good to sing about. You understand? So, matter of fact, the early music was called Lamentations. You understand? We had nothing. Even when James Brown came out with "Say It Loud," and I'm black and I'm proud. That was probably the most profound positive statement ever made in music.
Absolutely.
Only because it addressed an issue. It addressed the issue of the disenfranchised black people in America. Now he gave them a slogan, and that slogan helped galvanize millions of black people around the country. At least put on some dashikis, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Create some cultural awareness and all of that kind of stuff. And so we've had nothing good to sing about, and the modus operandi of the music institutions have not changed. Because you go back to Billie Holiday, you can go back, B.B. King, you can go back to all of the early artists.
Right.
And you see that they were struggling. Many of them died, were on
Penniless.
drugs, alcohol, because in this system, if you so-called make it to the big leagues, you sign with a major, you're committed a lot of times to maybe 100 to 200 dates a year. Man, you physically can't survive that. You gotta have something. You gotta have some drugs. You gotta have alcohol. You gotta have something, because now your whole life is committed to this thing that you think that you really want, but you didn't bargain. You didn't bargain for indentured slavery. So our party deals with these issues, but deals with them from a knowledge base. We know where it comes from. We know how it's being perpetuated, and we have a solution for it, because the music that we've created, again, Lamentations, but you'll say that Earth, Wind, and Fire, created some positive music. Yes, they did, but it was projectionist movement. It wasn't nothing that was happening on a grand scale. It was a projecting, which is what we need. War came along and gave us some sort of uplifting songs. But again, you singing uplifting songs to ultimately depress people. And so if we don't get control of our own music, we can't create the environment of positiveness and beauty and joy that we naturally want to give our people. So many people have gone into the music industry and have had to compromise their whole existence. Yeah. I mean, you look at Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson has some of the most inspiring songs on the planet. But they only let him do that once in a while.
Right.
Now, this is a guy they gave $1 billion to make music. But they want all the other music. But the music, like the We Are the World, they got through because they made money.
Now,
and they speak to everybody.
Now you got one of your members of the party here today, and I just want to give, because we got a few minutes remaining, and I want to get him on.
Absolutely.
And his name is Charlie Horse Jr., whose stage name is Chuck-a-Lot, is known as the Great Chicago Windy City bass legend. His introduction to music came early when his father gave him an acoustic guitar at the age of 11. As a teen, he performed with several bands and clubs throughout the Chicago area. From there, Chuck-a-Lot started growing more as a musician and as an artist. In the late 70s, he worked in the studio which produced and arranged with Tom Washington, Maurice White of Earth, Wind, and Fire, and toured and recorded with the Emotions. In the 80s, Chuck-a-Lot became part of Chicago's R&B. And I want to bring him on. He was with the Dells, the Shy-Lights, and he just goes on and on. But I want to give you a little bit. And Chuck-a-Lot, can you play us out? Can you come up here and just play us out?
Sure.
Sure can. Oh.
He's one of my favorite musicians, man. Because he stands for positiveness in music and positive change.
Just come on around here and just play us out.